Honestly, I think what I'm about to say here can apply to all YouTubers, if we are being honest. And this is mostly just about how YouTube has changed as a whole. But first, let's talk about the Poketubers of back then. By back then, I mean around, let's say 2016-ish. A lot of Poketubers that you guys know now were just starting out back then. And, you know, pretty much there was just one type of channel that dominated the market back then. These were Let's Play channels. I really should be doing Let's Plays in quotes, because while they did primarily specialize in Let's Plays, they dipped their toes in some other things. Like, the main thing was Wi-Fi battling. Like, they all had a subset of Wi-Fi battling that they did on their channel, and usually it was within the Pokemon games. It was either 6v6, 3v3, free-for-alls, or draft leagues. Back then, the scene was way smaller, so you had like 6 to 10, maybe 15 really big figures. Then you had people that they knew. They were kind of like B tier in terms of relevancy. Then you had your outliers, who are going to be very important when discussing, you know, the people in the future, aka the now. You also had some who made it that kept to themselves, you know. They didn't like interact with those main 6 to 15 people, but you know what, they were pretty well off by just being in their own little bubble. Now, you may be asking about Smogon and Pokemon Showdown YouTubers. Those weren't really popping off yet, but here's what I really want to talk about. What made a good Poketuber back then? Funnily enough, the answer is what makes a below average Poketuber now. A lot of the relevant faces back then were genuine and real in terms of their personality. Second, their content by today's standards were lazy as fuck, which is actually a really poor way to put it. What I should actually be saying is, since the scene was so small, they could get away with very simplistic type editing and what they did and what they put out. As long as it looked good, you're good. Once again, just text, an image, and a well-made background was all it took back then to make a good thumbnail. Eventually though, more people became Poketubers. So before we get to the now, like the 2020 now, we need to talk about kind of like 2-ish years ago and what was popping off at that time. So around this time, topic videos became very big. Now, what do I mean by topic videos? I mean things like top 10s, discussing random things like 5 things you never knew about, you know, something like that. If you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. So, we've seen topic videos in the past. Now, I'm referring to this in the context of like 2018. We've seen it like in 2016 and stuff. But what made those videos good is they were all about charm and high watch time. That is how you got discovered back then. This time, it was about the content being highly edited content. That was the #1 priority. Now, you also have some other stuff like watch time, and you know, a little bit of stuff about comments and audience retention. Now, I'm not like a YouTubeologist, so like, don't quote me on all this stuff about the algorithm. I could be really off, but if you were a really good editor, you had a shot. This is where top 10 started to explode like a goddamn volcano in terms of popularity. Also, around this time, you had a lot more Pokemon Showdown YouTubers starting to get their foot really deep into the game. Like, they were dipping into the pool. They weren't even dipping, they were swan diving into the pool in terms of content. Now, what happened 2 years ago, there's a reason why I wanted to bring it up. So the reason I brought it up, because what happened 2 years ago laid the groundwork for today's modern Poketubing scene. Around this time, the scene was bigger, So you are always under pressure to discover something either interesting or relevant. Let's talk about the now in the Poketubers scene. Now, let's keep it real. The Poketubers scene today is hella saturated. It's like a goddamn 80s high school in terms of all the cliques. By cliques, I mean different niches and content that you have. You have those who make topic videos, showdown YouTubers, let's players, Wi-Fi battlers, researchers / creators, and so many more. There is so much I want to talk about here, and I'm gonna be genuine. I could make a 2-hour, probably 5-hour lecture about all of this, but I'm not gonna waste your time like that. I want to discuss now what makes a good Poketuber in 2020, and how now it seems harder than ever to break into the Poketubing scene. To actually make it now, you have to either do one of two things, with one of them being kind of easy and the other being a borderline impossible task. Either you magically rub elbows, not literally of course, with big Poketubers, which is definitely possible, it just takes time, and when you make it by doing that, you know what, I mean, pretty much put it, when you do that, your shit still isn't guaranteed, cause you're not sure if you're gonna retain the audience that they gift you with. Or you could do this. You can make balls off the walls content that no one has ever seen before, and you market it very well. Stay very consistent with your niche and upload schedule. You wait and wait and wait, and once you get that small slice of opportunity, you capitalize on it. What if I told you that first one is the near impossible task, and the second one by comparison is easier? You are better off going for the second. That way you are the master of your own fan base. But once again, whether you choose to do option A or B, that's not up to me. Thing is, good quality doesn't mean a good video in today's Poketuber scene. Now you must be saying, that makes no fucking sense. How on earth can a video not be good quality, but not be a good YouTube video? Well, let me explain. By good video, I mean in a statistical sense. And statistics refer to likes, views, audience, watch time retention, all that good stuff. The main thing is, I want to talk about the thumbnail specifically. The thumbnail does not have to be good. It has to be clickable. Even when you're editing, even then, my bad, your editing has to be on point. By editing, I don't mean nice background and fancy transitions. No, we're not in 2018 anymore. I mean that flow it better be as fast as a Reggie Alecki, which has base 200 speed, or no one is watching your shit. At the very least, the pacing needs to be very consistent. It's almost like you're making a goddamn TV show. Your execution has to be perfect in every step of the way to have a shot of making it. Even then, you can't just have one really good video. You have to have a good idea. And with this idea, it has to be a series. And with that whole idea of having a series, it's going to allow you to have longevity in your content. Now, to end this video, you may be asking, so you recognize these flaws in Poketubers, and you know, what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right. Also, another big tip for YouTube today, find what other people are doing, find their flaws, and improve upon it. That's how you're gonna make something good that people are gonna want to watch. Now, you may be asking, I know all of this, so what am I doing making these type of videos? That is a question that I do not that is a whole 30-minute video in itself. But I want to say, if you enjoyed this rant, thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate it. And if you want more rants like this, let me know down below. Besides that, please consider subscribing, watch some more videos, but above all else, have a good day.